It's our turn, episode number 65, Tokyo Dreams. In this episode, Sarah and I talk about the games we've played, Roger and Lizzie talk about their recent gaming experiences, and I interview Jordan Draper about his Tokyo series of games.
This is the Dice Tower Network, adding games to your wish list since 2005.
Hosting for this episode is generously provided by our fantastic patrons on patreon.com. As a thank you to our patrons, we post extra exclusive content just for them. If you'd like to help us out by pledging $1 per month or more, please visit patreon.com/OurTurnPodcast. Every dollar helps to keep this show going strong. Hi, and welcome back to Our Turn, Gaming for Everyone. I'm Cathy Ford.
And I'm Sarah Reed.
Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
Doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing great. I had a wonderful gaming weekend.
Yay!
Yeah. So why don't we start off like we normally do and talk about what we've been playing lately? What have you been up to?
Well, we have been playing Charterstone.
Oh, I am looking forward. I get to go play that tomorrow.
Yay! I'm so excited. So we weren't really sure about this one because, you know, it is a legacy style game, which I will say up front, I'm going to do my best not to spoil anything. Just going to try to talk about how I feel about the game, but there's some basic things I can tell you. So for those who don't know, unlike Pandemic Legacy, Charterstone is competitive. So that really shifts your perspective on what you're trying to do in the game.
That's a different take on the legacy system.
Yeah, it's very
sure.
It's very different that way. And then, Jamie Stegmaier, he likes his Euro style games. So it has worker placement and resource management. And so the legacy aspects are focused on building and adding. So there's no real destruction of components. The main way you modify the game is you play by placing stickers on the board, which becomes the action spaces for your workers to use. So you literally start out with this very, very tiny small village, and after the end of 12 games have a big bustling city.
Nice.
Yeah. And you end up adding other components to the game, mostly cards and some bits. He loves his shaped wooden meeples, and it comes with metal coins, which definitely,
nice.
Yeah, it also explains the $70 price tag.
Yep.
But thankfully, following a couple people on Twitter who usually post about good game deals. This was, if I'm trying to remember, Joe, Art of Board Gaming. I think he mostly writes blogs, but he had found this good deals on Amazon, and he posted it. He said it was about $38. We ended up getting it about $45, which
nice.
Is still really good. It's definitely very affordable at $45. It's kind of hard to swallow $70 when you're really not sure whether you like a legacy style game.
Have you played any other legacy style games?
No, because this is ironic. As much as we're game designers and make prototypes, both of us really cringe at destroying things in a board game. So we like Charterstone because one of Jamie's goals was that you would not be destroying anything. In fact, all the cards that you take stickers off, there is a box called the archive, and you put all these cards, the remaining part of the card, in the archive, so you always have it referenced. Your game is still technically complete because it's still there. So nothing completely goes away. You do write on the cards and the boards to name people and places. I just really recommend finding a pen that doesn't smear. Poor Will, his area's name is just a smudge now, so I feel really bad about that.
So like a Sharpie pen, is that what you recommend?
I don't know. I didn't try Sharpie. Oddly, my friend who, forgot what it was, she's an office tech, and she does a lot of things with, I can't remember why, but she gave me a normal Bic pen, just cheapy, normal pen. And it works wonders because we were using a fancy ink pen and it just smeared and ran all over. Sharpie would probably work. You need a really fine tip, though.
Oh, okay.
Because there's not a lot of room on some of these things to write. So you'd have to have one of those really fine Sharpies. Otherwise, Sharpie will probably work well.
I'll pick one up on the way over to my friend's house tomorrow.
Yeah. So thematically, it's really solid. The story evolves as you play through the campaign, and it is somewhat dependent upon the choices that you make. To start off the campaign, you're living in this prosperous kingdom of Green Gully, which has been ruled for centuries by the Forever King, who has issued a decree that its citizens should colonize the vast lands beyond the borders. So you and 6 people total, 6 citizens, are trying to found a new village. And so there are 6 charters on this game board. So this brings an interesting aspect to me. There are the 6 regions. So no matter how many players there are, all the regions will eventually get filled in. It just happens faster with more players, or if you use the Otama, which they recommend sometimes for 2-player games. But we've been playing it just the 2 of us. And I say we're fine with it for the most part. I can definitely see the perk of playing with more people. So if you can regularly get together with people, you'll unlock the game, you'll unlock more of the game, and faster. We're still enjoying it as is, but we've already purchased the recharge pack so that we can find some more people. We're hoping to pin down at least 2 more to play it with so we can experience it at that increased pace and exploration. So I have to put this out here. Huh?
So how does the recharge pack work if you've already got stickers on the board?
The board is double-sided, so you get 2 uses out of
it. Okay.
If you want to play a 3rd game, you have to buy a whole new game. But the board is same exact thing on both sides, so you can use one main board twice. And so the recharge pack is all the stickers, all the stuff that you changed. So So yeah. So I will say right now, though, this is officially Will's favorite game now.
Nice.
Yes. It's
Did he have a favorite before?
Yep. Suburbia.
Oh, this replaces Suburbia. Wow.
Yes. Suburbia has been his favorite game for 5 years. So as of this recording, we have played 8 games of Charterstone.
Oh, wow.
We just got this in the mail on Sunday, January 14th. Today is Monday, the 22nd. So to let you know, 6 of those games were on the 14th and 15th. So 3 on the 14th. Yeah, 3 on the 15th.
You guys are impressed.
And then one was the 16th and one was the 18th. I like the game, but it was Will. We did not put the game away that whole week. We didn't put it away until we had friends over. So it was always set up, ready to play again. He just kept driving us to play, even choosing it over game design play testing. I just was completely taken aback at how much this has just really clicked with his head. And what he explained is it's his love of exploration. And from video games, it fills that need for grinding. For people who aren't aware, when you play video games, there's some of them where you can play certain areas over and over and over again. You're exploring, you're finding new things, which leads you to unlocking new things, which you find new things. It's a continual cycle, which is why it's called grinding. But he loves that, and he never gets tired of that. And Charterstone scratches that itch for him.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was just really amazed. I like it. I personally give it a 4.5. It will, of course, obviously a 5, because he has actually also said it's almost equal to his love of Lego.
Oh, wow.
Yes, which is...
Now that's saying something.
That is saying something for Will. I will have to say I have enjoyed the game, but not as much as Will, obviously. He's gotten to make more of the fun decisions than I have, so it did put a little bit of a damper on my enjoyment, but somebody has to make the decision since it's competitive. So I think the real test for me is going to be whether this is as replayable as promised once the 12 games are over, because it's supposed to create a unique, variable worker placement game that you can keep playing. I've heard
cool.
I've heard some people say they want to, but the only person I've heard from so far that actually has finished the 12 games said nope, they're done. They've really enjoyed the experience, but they have no desire to continue playing it as a non-legacy game, because at that point it just becomes another Euro-style game in your collection. So we'll have to see if it's as enjoyable, but I'm still looking forward to Will and I finishing our 2-player game and then hopefully getting a 4-player game and to have it a bit more engaging.
Now, this is a competitive game, right?
Oh, it's very well. So here's the thing: it's got some cooperative elements, but not like a whole lot. So you have to put down action spaces that are good, but you're doing it just as much selfishly as you are to, encourage other people to use them. Most of the time you don't get a direct benefit when somebody uses your area, but there are times where that is possible. Again, I don't want to give away too much. So it's only cooperative in that aspect of you're all building this village together, but otherwise each game ends with a winner. You do track certain, I'm just going to say things over the course of the 12 games. So at the end of the 12 games, you do see who the ultimate winner is.
So how many times have you beaten Will?
So this is interesting. I've actually won 6 of the 8 games.
Really? And he still thinks it's all that?
Right. Because the thing is, Jamie disassociated one of the deciding factors from the winner of the game. So, yeah, I'm trying to pick my words carefully. So there's a certain thing you can try to go for, and Will was always better at going for it than me, but I was always good at just winning the game. So I can't say I'm like truly disappointed, except that, like I said, he got to make some fun decisions. And the few times I tried to go after that thing, one of them at least was completely random outcome. So it's like I tried so hard and I didn't even get to make a choice.
Oh no.
It was something random. And then the other one I misunderstood. So as much as I got it, I was undermined by one thing I had missed. So Will said, just forget it. Don't try going for that thing that makes the deciding factor. Just play for winning, because he saw that I had a lot more fun on the 6 games that I won, regardless of being able to make that choice or not. So that aspect of making that decision is a lot of fun. It's not, the end all of the game. So I still have a lot of fun playing as long as I go after what I enjoy, which I guess in this case is winning. So Will fully expects I'm going to win the campaign, and he's just going to have a lot of fun on the ride, the journey through.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that is Charterstone.
That is Charterstone, and that was designed by Jamie Stegmaier, published by Stonemaier Games just last year, 2017. The artists are Lena Cosette, David Forrest, and Gong Studios. And it plays 1 to 6, so there is the solo play potential. Oh, and the 60-minute time frame, other than your first 1 or 2 games, 60 minutes is actually pretty accurate, at least for 2 players. One of our games actually was 45 minutes, so
nice.
It's really nice. That's how we were able to get 3 games in one day.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many games we're going to be able to get in, because I've got, we're meeting at noon at my friend Amy's house. Hi, Amy. And I only have until about 3:30 that I can play, and then I have to go back to work.
Yeah.
But it should be fun.
Yep.
We'll get in as many games as we can. Great.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, over the weekend, Mark and I sat down and got a couple of pairs of scissors and some card sleeves and a deck of regular playing cards. And we cut out the dinosaur expansion for Unfair.
Yeah.
And we were playtesting it for them.
I was wondering.
Yeah. I have never done that before, where I've had to cut it out and, assemble it and put it together and everything. But that was kind of fun. And then we took it to our library game day, and we got there and everybody else was already involved in playing games. So Mark and I sat down and play tested the dinosaur expansion for Unfair. It was so much fun.
Oh, good.
The cards are just as goofy and unfair as a lot of the other cards. Some of them are a little overpowered. We played with Mark's favorite theme, which is gangster.
Ah, yes.
Which is overpowered to begin with because of the offshore account. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple other cards that are really kind of overpowered. Gangster is not one of my favorites.
No.
But he combined the gangster offshore account with the prehistoric island, which is the super attraction that you can build in your park with the dinosaur expansion. So the prehistoric island, think Jurassic Park, says your park has a base income rate of 3 coins per star as opposed to 1 coin per star.
Dang.
It has a capacity of only 10, which a regular park has a capacity of 15 and goes up from there. This is a replacement park entrance, this super feature is.
Huh.
So it goes down over your regular park entrance, and you're limited to the 10 capacity unless you can find ways to increase the capacity. And you can only have a total of 4 attractions, and you can't have any other super attractions on this. But getting 3 coins per star, coupled with the offshore account, and a couple of the other cards that he was able to get that just, I mean, he just steamrolled right over me.
Yeah.
So, but that's the name of the game.
Right.
The other super attraction is a welcome center. And one of the neat things about this is some of the upgrades to your attractions are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Harmless little critters like velociraptors and Tyrannosaurus rexes. And the thing with these upgrades is for each of these animal upgrades that you're putting on your park, during the event stage, you have to roll 2d6s. And if you get a certain result, and it varies based on the dinosaur, then your dinosaurs attack.
Oh.
If you get a certain roll or lower. Dang. If you get a certain roll or higher, then everything's cool. But if you play the welcome center, everything's electrified, so the animals can't get out. They can't attack anything. And it says abilities of animal upgrades in your park are not active. So you don't have to worry about your dinosaurs.
Gotcha.
And the flavor text at the bottom says, everything fully electrified for your safety. And it increases your park capacity to 25.
Wow. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
No wonder those are some really overpowered abilities. But then that's why, playtesting is important. These things might seem very sound in concept, but until you see how they interact with other cards, especially with something like this that's an expansion, it takes, playing it to see how it interacts.
Another member of our game group, CJ, was later in the afternoon. We were already into something else. She pulled out Unfair and play tested the Alien expansion. And she did it with playing with the two of the most overpowered sets of cards already included in the game, which are Gangster and Ninja. And she just steamrollered over everybody with that. We were listening to them play test it, and there were lots of complaints about it because 2 or 3 of the people playing with her were newbies.
Yeah.
And they were play testing this new expansion. So that was kind of rough.
Yeah.
But I thought most of the cards in this expansion were pretty good. There's a roller coaster thrill ride called the Tarot Coaster. And it has a built-in upgrade that it comes with a pterodactyl. So it's a roller coaster that comes with a pterodactyl.
That's cute.
And then there's a vehicle tour. So again, think Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Driving through the park. And then you gain 2 extra coins for each animal upgrade on open attractions in your park when you play this one.
Nice.
And then it had the maxi screen. Yeah, IMAX. Exactly. That's just a theater.
Yeah.
It had an animal feed cellar. Gained 3 extra coins for each animal upgrade on open attractions in your park. That was a staff member. And then there's this one. There's a couple here I can't pronounce. But it had the T-Rex, and it also had blueprints that you had to have 3 specific dinosaurs to get the bonus from the blueprint.
Okay.
And then the bonus to that is also having the T-Rex.
Got it.
And so I managed to get that one. Mark still just steamrolled over me with the offshore account. It comes with electrified fences, comes with a dinosaur egg, and then some standard cards like deluxe quality and the events. There's a couple of special events like a containment breach. Choose an animal upgrade in any park and close its attraction. Move the upgrade to a suitable adjacent attraction if possible. A research trip. Search the park deck for a dinosaur upgrade card. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Shuffle the park deck. So it has some neat cards. It lives up to its name completely. And I love it. I'm giving it a 5. Maybe it still needs a little tweaking.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that when the expansion comes out, it's supposed to have 4 decks with it. Alien, Western, dinosaur, and I'm blanking on what the fourth one is. But yeah, that will definitely be going into my game for sure.
Very
That's
cool.
Unfair with the dinosaur expansion.
Nice. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So I downloaded Bonanza the Duel on my iPad because, I was kind of curious. I've never played Bonanza because it's a 3+ player game. So I wanted to see what the 2-player version would be like before, potentially buying it. And so they,
I hadn't heard of this one.
Yeah. So the physical card game came out in 2016. I don't think it was really well pushed or anything. And then late last year, so I want to say like October or November of 2017, they came out with the app. So I was like, well, let me see if this is, good. Because some 2-player only games, well, let's just say there's a lot of hit and miss, and with us, sometimes more miss. So, but first, let me talk about the app. It is a bit difficult to learn how to play the game from the app. I mean, I really know it's hard to make a good tutorial. This one just really wasn't good. So I ended up downloading the rules and just reading them completely to understand what's going on. So the good news is it's not that difficult to learn. It's just there's some nuances that are really easy to miss or forget. Overall, I assume this is pretty similar to the regular Bonanza. I mean, your goal is to make the most money from beans. So it's about beans. So you have to...
Same type of artwork?
Yes, it's the same. I'm assuming, let's see, the artist... I know I wrote it down somewhere. Ooh, I'm going to mess this up. Bjorn Pertoft? Yeah.
Probably close.
Yeah, it looks like all of the Bonanza artwork. So that is both a good and a bad thing, which I'll cover in a moment.
Yeah, I agree with you that it wasn't probably pushed real well. I just pinged my friend Dwayne. Hi, Dwayne. And I asked him if he'd heard of this game, because he's the one that introduced us to Bonanza and all things Bonanza, except Warful Bonanza. And he hadn't heard of this, so... Yeah,
it's Bonanza the Duel, maybe with the whole 7 Wonders of the Duel. There was just a push to make 2-player versions of these classic 3+ player games.
Okay.
So the game is pretty nuanced because you have to play these bean cards in a certain order into your fields and then harvest them to make room for more beans. So timing is really critical in this game. So the really weird part is you get bean cards in your hand and they have to be played in the order they're received. You cannot rearrange the cards in your hand at all. You must always play the leftmost card. You can choose to play the second leftmost card. So you can choose to play 1 or 2 cards. You must always play the left one. And got 3 fields. You have to play them in sequence of equal or the next higher value. All the numbers are even. So like if you have a 10 value bean out there, you could play a 10 or a 12. But you can't play the 8 because that's less. And you can't play the 14 because that skipped over 12. So it's a little tricky in that you have to sequence the cards, but you have no control in your hand as to how to play the cards, because you always have to play the leftmost card in your hand. So if you're unable to place a card, or whenever you choose to do so, you can score a field. So this involves counting how many cards are in that field and checking the scoring on the topmost card. So it literally does not care what cards are underneath. It just depends what's visible on the top. There's 3 different counts of cards, and then each of them has a number of coins above them, which is your reward. So you could have 2 cards and only get 1 coin, but if you had like 5 cards, you could get 3 coins. So the more cards, the better the reward. So each value also has that many copies of it in the deck. So there's only 2 copies of the value 2 card, while there's 20 copies of the value 20 card. And the higher the number, the more cards you need to in your field to score coins. So another weird...
Sounds a lot like Pairs.
I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah, in Pairs, there's 1 card, there's 2 cards, there's 3 cards, and it goes up to, I think, 10.
Okay.
There's 10 cards.
Okay, yeah, this one goes 2 to 20. So in that respect, yes, that would be different. That'd be similar. Understanding the rules to this game, I don't know, for some reason, my brain's not working that great with it. So at the end of your turn, you have to gift a card to your opponent. You'll be drawing 3 face-up cards. You must give them either one of those cards or one from your hand, but you can try to bluff and offer them a card you don't have, but if they accept it, then you're penalized. But if they refuse it, they have to offer you a card back, which you can accept or not. However, this is limited that each number can only be gifted once. So let's say you want to gift them a 2 and they refuse, you'd have to gift them anything else, or they'd have to gift you something other than a 2. This part really was the hardest for me to understand. There's still parts that just kind of throw me off. But either way, eventually someone will accept a card. Then you must immediately plant the 3 new random cards, though you're able to discard one of them. Lastly, there's these secret bonus cards, of course spelled BOHNUS, because they always have to put that bow with the H in there because it's bonanza.
Right.
So anyways, these bonus cards allow you to earn additional coins, including this weird partial coin value. So the app equates this to dollars and cents. So these want you to get different bean values in sequences in your field. So you might want 2 of one of another, one of another. And once you get that planted, the card trigger is giving you the coins. So you might make $2.80. The tricky part is you can trigger bonus cards your opponent has. So if you make the match in your field, their bonus card goes off and they get the coins. But they can do the same for you. So if they build something in their field, it could trigger yours. So it's very quirky. The graphic design and art's not very visually accessible. And honestly, neither is the gameplay. Is nothing really exciting. So I won't be buying the physical version for me and Will. I might keep the app installed just because it's kind of a puzzle. So sometimes it's just a good mental break. And I have to say, there are some interesting choices to be made. It's a little engaging. I don't know what the physical version would add or take away, because I haven't, obviously played it. But for the app experience of the game, I gave it a 2.5. It was just so hard for me to learn the game through the app. The gameplay has complications that I don't really feel are very necessary or interesting, but it's not a terrible game either. But I'd rather play this than any version of Solitaire, so maybe with more plays my rating will improve. But for now, I give Bonanza the Duel a 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, really, the only 2 games of Bonanza from the different expansions and different versions that I've liked so far has been the original and Werfel Bonanza. I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But again, the artwork is, it's ethnically bleh.
Yeah.
And then it, as you said, it's not visually accessible. So
it's very dated.
This is an Uwe Rosenberg game.
Right. And while the Duel game is a relatively new design, because it's the same art style, they didn't take any risks or anything. So it looks like something that, I don't know how old the original Bonanza is, but it feels really dated. The art style, the graphic design, it's just does not feel very modern. And it is kind of off-putting. I know it's meant to be cutesy or funny.
Kind of cartoony.
Yeah, kind of cartoony. It just doesn't really work for me.
Okay, that's fair. And so that is Bonanza the Duel.
Yep.
All right. Well, my next game is also an Uwe Rosenberg game, but I rate it much higher than you rated yours. And that is Feast for Odin.
Oh, cool.
Apparently at Game Day on Saturday, there were 3 games of this played across 3 tables.
Wow, I've heard a lot of people
not simultaneously. One group played it earlier before we got there. And then once we finished playing Unfair, my friend Afshin, hi Afshin, he brought out Feast for Odin. And so we played that. And while we were playing it, somebody else set up Feast for Odin at their table as well.
Nice.
And so this was a neat game. Mm-hmm. This was really a neat game. Viking themed, obviously.
Yep.
You're part of a village actually you're leading a village and you are trying to get resources to feed your people and collect items that you can put on this board in order to cancel out negative points and get bonuses. The bonuses are things like a tankard of mead or ore or stone or skins. which you can then upgrade as you go along. As you're playing the game, you can upgrade these things to more valuable things, which you can then put on the board. You can purchase either fishing ships, raiding ships, or explorer ships. You can also acquire islands like Greenland or Shetland or Iceland. There's there's 8 islands altogether that you can try to acquire. Only 4 are available at any one time. And then there's just a lot to do. The one downside that I have on this game that keeps me from rating it a 5 is that it has so much to do that it's AP inducing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually suffer from analysis paralysis. I was suffering from analysis paralysis in this game.
Yeah.
Just because there's so much to do. And it is, of course, depicted pictorially. So you're like, no, what's that mean? What's that mean again? It's a worker placement. So you start with 6. You start the game with 6 meeples, and it goes up by 1 meeple per turn. There are, I want to say 7 or 8 rounds in the game, and each round has something like 12 steps.
Whoa.
Yeah, that you have to go through, and some of them you go through them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And others take some time because you're sitting there going, now what am I going to do? Now what should I do? I actually ended up coming in second on this, which just surprised the heck out of me. My friend Ashton won, but he kept trying to go raiding. You send your Vikings out to raid England, basically, and come back with treasure and plunder and stuff. And he said, man, this game, those Brits are tough. He said, last time I played this, they were pushovers. This time they're tough. Oh. In order to raid England, you have to roll a die. There's 2 dice in the game. There's a D8 and a D12. And they're used at different points. And he was not having any luck. And there are some points in the game where, depending on what you're doing, you want to roll low or roll high. It just depends on what you're doing. When you're whaling or fishing or hunting, you want to roll low. When you're raiding or plundering or exploring, you want to roll high.
Got it.
So visually, this game was very busy.
Yeah.
But I thought the artwork was okay. I think Will would probably have some challenges with it visually.
Yeah.
But, once he's memorized the board, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
As he does.
Yes, that's true.
But this was a fun game. We played with 4 people, and I think it plays up to 5, but we had 4, and that seemed like a good number. And I'm looking forward to playing this again. I rated a 4.5. And the reason it didn't get a 5 is because of the analysis paralysis issue. I'm still considering getting this one and putting it in our collection because it does play 2. It plays solo.
Nice.
And so, I think this is something that Mark and I would enjoy pulling out and playing together with some of our gamer friends. This is not one I would pull out for my 97-year-old grandmother.
No.
Except maybe to show her a game about Vikings because our heritage is Danish. But I think she'd look at it and go, no. Yeah. It's got too much going on, too much to remember. But I had a great time with it. I'm looking forward to trying it again. Ashton, you can bring that to any game day and I will happily play it. I think my friend Dave Mitchell or Scott and Jean, one of those 2 sets of people owns it as well.
Oh, okay, good.
So you guys, if you bring it to a game day and I'm not in the middle of something, I will be happy to play with you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So that's Feast for Odin.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen a lot of pictures of that on Twitter and it always looks interesting. We're just actually really not big on the theme. So, I mean, not that that's necessarily going to stop us, but that has made us pause. So, but we'll see.
One of the things that I liked about this game, because it's a Rosenberg game, you do have to feed your people every turn.
Yeah, that turns me off too.
And I did not have a hard time doing that.
Oh, okay. That's good.
It was actually pretty easy to do.
Okay.
But I liked that it was not a Viking game where you were killing people.
Yes, that's usually why.
Yes, I know the Vikings killed a lot of people. I know that. But it focused more on the day-to-day life of the Vikings. And plundering was something you went off and did. You rolled your die, and if you rolled high, you got plunder.
Yes.
It didn't go into delve into the unpleasant side of getting plunder.
Right.
I've played Blood Rage. I like Blood Rage. It's fine. I don't want a steady diet of Blood Rage.
Right.
But I did like this one, that it was more the day-to-day life of the Vikings. And I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's a nice Euro game. Yeah, you're not going to get triggered by this.
Right. That's what I'm saying is it interests us more than any other Viking game ever has. But honestly, we also haven't just really sat down and watched a video on it. So now that you've talked about it a bit, I think I'm going to have to sit us down sometime and watch a review to see if that's something to add. It's just, I have to admit, I'm really over the whole feeding my people thing. I just don't need that as a mechanism anymore. But I will give this game a chance.
Yeah, like I said, it was easy for me to feed my people, and there's a couple of things you can do. The red and yellow tiles that have resources on them, you can use to feed your people, but you can't put red next to red or yellow next to yellow. So you have to alternate them.
Okay. That's not
yellow is fruits and vegetables, red is protein.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense. So it wasn't hard because every turn you're either getting things from the harvest,
right,
or there's a few turns where you're not getting things from the harvest, and you have to keep that in mind and either save stuff from your previous harvest,
right,
or make sure that you've got food to feed your people, which you can do by placing 1 or 2 workers and your people are fed.
Okay.
The other thing that you can do is you can have your people immigrate out.
Okay.
So yes, you have to give up a ship because they're sailing off into the ocean and never to be seen again. And then this goes over the section, the boat, you turn it over, it goes over a section of the area where you would be feeding your people. It's called Feast Road, and so feeding your people makes sense.
Yes.
But immigrating your people out is worth 18 points.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. Mark ended up immigrating out 3 sets of people.
Dang.
So he got a lot of points from immigration. I only did it once.
Okay.
So yeah, I liked it. You'll hear me talk about this again at some point.
Sounds good.
I'm looking forward to playing this again. So that is Feast for Odin by Uwe Rosenberg.
Awesome. Well, I got to the table of Dungeons Deep, which the Patreon supporters voted for. And this is designed by Jason Glover, published by Grey Gnome Games, art by Derek Bacon. And Derek Bacon also, I guess we'll say at this point, did the art for Oaxaca. I believe, if I remember correctly, all the art pieces are done. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. But anyways, this was published in 2015. It is a 1 to 4 player game and it takes about 30 minutes. So it's a really interesting semi-cooperative game of a group of adventurers heading into a dungeon to kill monsters and find awesome loot. So while the players must work together to kill monsters, whoever does the most damage actually claims the loot. So mechanically, this is very interesting. It's a mix of blind bidding, deck building, bluffing, and simultaneous play, which is a lot, but it does it pretty well. To set up, each player gets a hero and a henchman, shuffles the 2 decks together to form your 1 deck, and so this is basically attack cards. And over the course of the game, you add loot cards to the deck, so your deck will grow. The basic type of attack is melee, but there's several special attack types that don't trigger unless the monster is weak to it, and then it will deal double damage. To form the dungeon, the monster and treasure cards are shuffled, and 19 are randomly taken, and you add 2 random bosses, so you now have a deck of 21 cards, all shuffled random. The game lasts 7 rounds, because each round you'll put 3 cards face up. That's the level, so you play 7 levels of this dungeon. Generally, all the cards will have life values that are dependent on the number of players, so there's 4 hearts that get increasingly higher values, so you're playing 1 player, you use the top heart, which has the smallest amount, versus the 4th heart when you play with 4 players, which has the most. There's a damage value, weakness symbol, and then a victory point value. And then on the bottom of the monster cards, printed upside down, is the item that you could gain for defeating that monster. So when you defeat the monster, you rotate the card over and you add it to your deck. Bosses don't have an item, but they're worth more victory points, and they require each of the players to ante up a combination of health and treasure tokens, which you get back if you defeat the boss, but if you don't, you'll lose the health and treasure tokens, so not a good thing. So to play, you'll have a hand of 6 cards. You'll play 1 card face down against each of the dungeon cards in the middle of the table, and everybody does this at the same time. And then you turn all the cards up and you resolve the effects. And there's a little tracker to track the health of the monsters so you know where they're at. Because you do that one more time with everyone placing one more card at each dungeon card. And you turn them face up and resolve them. If the monster is killed, the player who did the most damage gets the card as an item. The player who did the second most damage gets a treasure token. But if the monster was not killed, then the player who did the most damage takes damage from the monster. They're closest to the monster, so they, get hit. And basically, this keeps going in the same manner for 7 rounds, and the player with the most victory points at the end wins. As much as this is pretty thematic with the fighting and the dungeon crawling, the main mechanisms are bluffing and bidding, which I'm terrible at. And which is why Will won the game we played. I'd always play my strongest card out first, but he wouldn't. And so he would pick and choose his battles, and he was able to psych me out. And this is the bidding part. As much as I think of it as I'm dealing damage, it's actually bidding. You're bidding damage on those monsters, and you have to do it carefully so that you don't waste energy on cards you can't win. So that just didn't work with my brain. I just don't think that way. I put everything out on the table. So yeah, I would not play poker or anything like that. I will have to say the only other thing I'm not so happy with the game is the characters don't really feel balanced. I feel like they could have used some more polishing. There are definitely some heroes and henchmen that are better than others. So the graphic design could have been better. The icons are distinct, so that's great for anyone who's colorblind. The problem is some of the text, which you actually do need to read, is just laid over the busy background. So they needed text boxes. It's just that simple. They needed text boxes behind the text. The monsters are fine because there's this giant white border and most of the text is on that white border. But when it comes to the heroes and henchmen, there's certain things that are just really hard to read. So in the end, I give Of Dungeons Deep a 3. I do think there's an audience for it. Those who are looking for a lighter gaming experience focused on bidding and bluffing with this rich fantasy theme, it's just not me. So I'll be putting it in the trade pile.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to explain your comment at the beginning. You said the Patreon backers picked this game for you to play. And we haven't, I don't think, talked about this much on the show.
Oh.
One of the reward levels at the D10, which is the warrior level, which is people who donate $10 or more per month, they get to select from a list of games that we have provided, games for us to play. And what we do is every month I go through the list with a random number generator and I pull out 5 or 6 games. I have a bunch on there. Sarah has a bunch on there. Some of our contributors have a few on there. And whoever's game comes up, it gets added to a poll. And the people who are D10 or D12 or D20 get to vote on what games we play. And I think we have 2 or 3 at that level, 2 or 3 backers at that level. And so they picked this game and one other for Sarah to play. And then they picked a couple games for me to play. I still have to play them. So I'm working on that this week. So yours was Of Dungeons Deep. And what was the other one?
The other one's Food Chain Magnet.
Oh, yeah, that's a heavy one.
Yep.
Mine was a really light one and a really heavy one.
Yeah.
It was Happy Salmon and Mombasa. So I am working on getting those played so I can report on them.
Yep.
But then we talk about them on the show. So thank you to our Patreon backers for voting on those 2 polls. And we're going to be doing 1 poll going forward. And whoever's game comes up, that's who gets to play it. So
sounds good.
Anyway, so thank you to our Patreon backers for participating in that. That was fun. All right. And that was Of Dungeons Deep.
Yes.
That you were talking about. All right. The final game that I played at Game Day this last weekend was Lewis and Clark.
Nice.
And I've talked about this game before. We played it when we had some friends over. Mark and I both wanted to play it again because it has some interesting mechanisms and we liked the theme. We're both history buffs. And we wanted to get to know this game a little better. So we took it and we were able to play it with Afshin and Daryl, and Mark won. This is a competitive game, but there are some cooperative aspects to it, which I thought was kind of interesting. There are 5 leaders that you can, this is a 1 to 5 player game, and they do have a separate solo mode rules. And I've asked Frank if he would take a look at it and report on it from the solo mode. But there is a deck of cards, and the cards are double-sided. On one side is a character with special abilities, and on the other side is your ability to power a card. So they use little Native American meeples in the game, and then they have these Native American meeples depicted on the backs of these cards, and they either have 1, 2, or 3 strength to them. And this is sort of a deck builder, sort of a resource management, sort of a worker placement game. You're starting in St. Louis, and you're navigating a river to the Pacific coast, which was what Lewis and Clark were hoping to do when they set off on their expedition. And then in the middle of the board is this Native American village. And as you're progressing down the river, one of your options is either to play your character. But when you play a character, you have to play 2 cards. You have to play the character card, and then you have to choose another card from your deck to be the power. So you turn it over to the little Native American meeple side. And however many little meeples are on there, that's how many times that character gets to do their ability, depending on if you have the resources to power it that many times. Right. So, for example, if there's one card where the character can take 2 sets of equipment and turn it into a horse, which you need horses to get over the mountains.
Right.
Well, if you happen to have 4 pieces of equipment in your supply, then you can turn that into 2 horses if you power that character twice.
Oh, okay.
But the other thing that you can do if you don't want to use your characters on a particular turn, one of your characters can basically gather all the Indians that are out on the villages, gather them to you, and then you use those as resources, and you can put them down in the villages in order to get resources from these different villages, which Lewis and Clark did befriend the Indians or Native Americans in order to get resources from them during their journey. So the game is very thematic. It makes a lot of sense. You're trying to be the first person to get to the Pacific coast. There's 2 mountain ranges for you to cross, which makes sense. There's the Rocky Mountains and the Sierras, the Sierra Cascades. It's a fun game. It's put together really well. It was designed by, I'm going to butcher this, Cedric Chabousset. Cedric, I'm so sorry. I know I just butchered your last name. And it was published by Ludonaut in 2013. I give this game a good, strong 4. I like the mechanisms. It's a deck builder that I like. And I'm starting to understand deck builders. And yeah, I like this one. You can add to your pile of characters as you go. At some point, you're going to have to make camp. And what that does is it takes a little marker. Each person has their own little marker, and the marker is wherever you last made camp, and then you move it to when your little explorer is on the river. And then you get to pick up all your cards and use them again. And you can also, part of your turn is you can add more characters to your cards. Some of them are Europeans and some of them are Native Americans. They all have great powers, abilities to them. And then you have a little player board in front of you where that's where you put your supplies, and they're depicted with these little wooden hexagons, different colors for different things, like pink is food, white is horses, gray is equipment, yellow is skins, like animal skins. Blue is canoes. And you have to allocate how you're storing your resources, and you have to use your resources, because if you don't, when you make camp, if you've got too many resources, then basically your canoes are heavy.
Oh, okay.
And so it takes more time for you to get up the river. Well, the way they compensate for that is when you make camp, you count up how much time you're penalized by, and that moves you back that number of spaces on the river.
Oh, okay.
So I like this game a lot. I want to play it some more and kind of feel it out, explore the player powers a little more. There's a pretty good stack of cards in 2 games. I don't think we've gone through all of them yet.
Nice.
So that is Lewis and Clark from Ludonaut. It was published in 2013, and I give it a good solid 4. Have you ever played this game, Sarah?
No, I was just thinking that I have a Lewis and Clark game, and so I just looked it up because I was like, okay, I remember looking at 2 different Lewis and Clark games, and I think the one you're talking about is one we looked at and we didn't really care for some of the mechanisms, but we own Discoveries, the journals of Lewis and Clark, interestingly designed by the same designer.
Oh, he must be a big fan of that period of history.
Yeah, he must be. And it was only released a few years later in 2015. So now that's got me thinking I need to get that to the table soon so I can talk about it and see how it's different. I think it's much lighter because I want to say it's dice-based. So it's a lighter game. It's still got some of that deck building, but I think it's with dice. So
okay.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, this one doesn't have any dice.
So it'll be interesting to see how it compares.
Yeah. Now, I have an uncle who is a mountain man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's his hobby. He's also an electrician, but that's his profession. But his hobby is being a mountain man. And he's a big fan of this period of history. And I would love to sit down with him and show him this game.
Nice.
I think he would find it fascinating, and I think he would enjoy it.
That's cool.
So, yeah. Unfortunately, he lives up in Washington, so I don't see him very often. But
yeah.
Next time I know I'm going to see him at a family gathering, I'm going to take this game with me.
Oh, that's cool.
So.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's what we've been playing. You've heard us referring to and rating games by a rating scale. Here's how we're using this scale. 1. Give me back the time I spent playing it. 2. Has great potential as kindling. 3. Decent with some bugs. 4. A good, solid game. And 5. Buy this now. Today for the interview, I'm joined by Jordan Draper, who is the designer of 3 games currently on Kickstarter. They are collectively known as the Tokyo series. Jordan, welcome to Our Turn.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I am just really impressed because I am talking to you from Norway, where you're on vacation, yes?
Yeah, you could call it a vacation, but I work 18 hours a day while I'm running the Kickstarter. So,
Of course. And then you had mentioned to me when we were setting up this interview that you're getting ready to go back to Japan.
Yeah, so in 2 days, actually, I'm flying back to Tokyo, where I'll be there for about 6 months. So I'm really excited about that. It's just kind of been jumping back and forth between Oslo, Salt Lake, and Tokyo for the last 2 years for me.
And Salt Lake is where you're from. That's your hometown.
Yep, originally from Salt Lake, and then I met my girlfriend in Tokyo, so she's from Oslo. That's why the 3 locations.
What initially took you to Japan?
I studied martial arts and studied Japanese for fun in my free time when I was in high school, and then I decided to go over there for an immersive Japanese study program. Then I was there for 3 or 4 months, came back and did a degree in Japanese. I was studying some other things, and it was like 2 years quicker to finish a degree in Japanese. So I did a study abroad to go back the second time and stayed there for about 9 months that time. And then now this will be the 3rd time going back.
Nice. So you're just totally fascinated with the culture.
Yeah, you could say that. The design, the culture, the food, there's so many things to discover in Japan. It just never ends.
Wonderful. Now, your games are based on Japanese vending machine culture, is what I saw in the video. Is that right?
Yeah, that's definitely right. I'm fascinated by the vending machine options they have there. The automation everywhere in Tokyo especially is really fascinating, but just trying new drinks and seeing how varied the different flavors and companies and brands get within that own culture is really cool. And I've met other people who are just as interested as I am in it. But I wanted to turn it into a game because I'm a game designer and I get fascinated by exploring creative outlets in my life through many different ways. And it kind of made sense to make a framework game out of it so I could let other people explore the same subject. So the game has guest designers that have designed games within it. And when you get the game, you can design your own game as well. It's just kind of a nice set of pieces that you can explore and go further with it.
So, like I mentioned, you have 3 games on Kickstarter currently. They're being sold together, yes? Is that right?
Yeah, you can get them just one of the 3 if you want through the Kickstarter. But if you buy all 3, then you get a really big discount. So that's kind of the incentive. And they mix together in different ways. So there's rules for playing some of the games like pieces from different games, mixing them together to play a new game. And that will continue through the entire Tokyo series, which in the end will be 12 games. So this is just the first 3 out of 12.
Oh, wow. That's ambitious.
Yeah, a little bit.
So these look like small games. I mean, they're not like big box heavy type games, but they look like they have really interesting components. You've got little tiny soda bottles. Tell us some about the components.
Yeah, and just to kind of get past the misconception, they're not necessarily like small light games. They just are a lot of game in a small box, which is a very Japanese way of approaching things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like Tokyo Metro is like around a 2-hour game. That's a really heavy economic game with stocks and worker placement and lots of things.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I run through what the components are in all of them to kind of give an overview. So in Jidohan Baiki, there's 36 small miniature drinks. They come in 6 different sizes, and each complete set of 6 sizes has its own color. So there's 6 colors and 6 different shapes. And then you've got 6 drink crates, which have 6 slots inside of them to put the drinks in. And then you've got 12 stock cards, which basically have 1 for each color and then 1 for each drink type. There's some yen, which is going to be some chits. And if you back the Kickstarter, you'll get a metal currency for free that I'm making. And then there's also these ads that go on top of the vending machine, because there's a miniature vending machine, which is actually like a dice tower. So you drop the drinks inside of that, and they might get stuck, and then they might get knocked out again later. So it's kind of a randomizer, which works within a lot of the games.
Nice.
A pretty nice, satisfying sound. I can actually drop some now if you want to hear it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it kind of, I don't know, gives me the feeling of when you buy a drink at a vending machine, it's like really cool to hear the sound and have it come out and you get something new. Maybe that's like the consumerist mindset from growing up in the States. But yeah, I like tactileness, and I like the audible and experiential parts of playing games. So I try to put in that as much as I can. But the little vending machine is really cool. It has some ads from the guest designers. So when you play one of their games, you can put the ad on top of the vending machine for the designer that you're playing, for example. And that's what's in Jidohan Baiki. Oh, I didn't mention there's also a rule book with over 20 games in it. So it's a 100-page rule book, which is going to be awesome. And there's going to be more games posted online. So you can really you could play games for hours and hours and hours with just this one little box. And then Tokyo Metro is, so you've got an actual fabric map of the real Tokyo Metro system, which I altered a little bit by taking out some stations here and there, but it's the real lines and the real actual stations where things overlap. And then you've got basically 6 different action cards. So there's 12 different actions you can take in the game, and they are kind of segmented into eras, and you'll be drawing these out like a deck of cards. So the actions you can take in the game will vary as the game goes on through the rounds. And then you have worker placement discs, and you have some stations you build on the map. So the core gameplay, you're trying to build stations using worker placement onto the Tokyo Metro map. But then there's also 12 different train lines that will run, which you can invest in, which multiple people can buy stocks in, for example, and you can make them run faster. You can get a bicycle and move around on the map faster to build the stations, because you actually have to physically move to the place to build the station. Then you can ride trains in the game to get around in different ways. But the cool part is that there's a lot of interaction between the investments within the train lines, and you can also like speculate on other people's train lines to get payouts at the end of the game before they get paid for their stocks. So there's a lot of depth into that game with a pretty simple mechanism and system.
Let me see if I get this straight. This is a train game, but it's a train game with a subway instead of like a normal railroad going across the U.S. type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So in Japan, or in Tokyo specifically, I should say, there's like the metro, which is underground, and then there's also an above ground rail system, which is like the JR system. So this game just focuses on the underground part. Like Tokyo's train systems are crazy, and they're all privately owned lines. So that's the theme of the game, is that you're investing in these different train lines for the subway system under the ground.
Oh, wow. So there's multiple subway systems in Tokyo.
Yeah, there's a lot of different private systems in Tokyo for the train lines, and some of them are above or below ground.
So it's not like New York or San Francisco where the city runs the rapid transit kind of thing.
Yeah, the exact opposite, really, because they wanted to get expansion going quickly. So they offered up the option for these public companies to start building and expanding the rail system in Japan. And that's where most of it came from.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Japan has a lot of history that I never would have found out about without kind of doing some research and living over there.
That's neat. Now, tell me about Tokyo Jutaku.
Yeah, so Tokyo Jutaku is a game about building small, abstract residential homes in Tokyo. So I studied architecture. I didn't finish my degree and get licensed, but I did study it for a while, including in Tokyo as well, studying some residential architecture there. And I got really inspired by my time studying there and also going on walks at night, which is where I would find all the vending machines and look at some of the different buildings because they have really old buildings next to brand new buildings and the homes just vary. It's kind of like a jungle of creative ideas for their housing. So
no cookie cutter McMansion type things in Tokyo, right?
For the most part, no. They're starting to have some like really cheap, plasticky looking cookie cutter homes that pop up here and there just because they're so inexpensive, and their market over there, they don't really have value in their house because they tear them down on average every 20 years and build a new home. So you're basically just paying for the lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like they have this culture of like people either go high end and they hire an architect, or they go the really cheap route and do this like plasticky house that gets put up in like a day. But anyway, kind of a side note, back to the game. You're looking at these small, crazy shaped plots, and they're on a grid out on the map. And you'll play as an architect moving your token. You'll take one of these plot cards, and then there's 69 puzzle pieces, which are just really crazy shaped in the center. Everybody has a plot that they're working on, and they have to build a certain number of floors going up for their house, and they have to use a certain number of pieces in total. You're not allowed to like overhang anything, so you have to keep getting smaller as you build up, and you have to stay within the site boundaries. So you've got these building rules, and then it's a real-time dexterity game. So someone says go, and then everybody's grabbing one piece at a time and adjusting it to try to puzzle together their abstract model home for the lot that they're building on. And whoever finishes first gets to keep their card, and then everybody else puts all their pieces back, and you move your architect token to a new plot of land and try again the next round until somebody has 4 cards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not only do I find your game fascinating, but the history and the culture that it's based on is just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I find it really interesting to make games about real life experiences or things that I've studied or been interested in. And so that's completely where the Tokyo series has come from, just the things that I like in the subculture of Japan. And I've made some past games where I've lived in other places as well that were just kind of based off of that. But that's what inspires me to make the game in the first place, usually.
Nice. Wow, this is impressive. And I'm looking at your Kickstarter, and I see that you funded really, really well.
Yeah, I funded a while ago.
How quickly did this fund?
It was within the first 24 hours for sure. I've been building the brand. Dark Flight is my company that I have with my business partner, and then I self-publish some games on my own through my own Kickstarter. And the first 3 Kickstarters we did were only pulling in like $3,000 to $5,000 like at the end, which was in 2016. And then I had pretty good success with my last one, which was Import Export, which is kind of a economic takeoff of Glory to Rome. But building up the following so far and going to conventions, there's just been so many people who've been supportive. And now like the success is really a mix between all the people who've liked what I'm doing and have helped me out and done basically free marketing and press and reviews and everything. So it's been a team effort, I would say, and it's paying off, and I'm happy to be able to keep making creative games from it. So
nice. So let's see. So this is going until February 3rd. Yes. Is that right?
It should be February 4th. Yeah.
4th. Oh, okay. Excellent. So as of this recording, it's January 24th. This will go live on the 28th or the 29th. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're still in January, you've got time to back this game if it sounds interesting to you. And it sounds very interesting to me. Now, I know you can't necessarily stick to this, but when are you estimating delivery?
Yeah, it should definitely be in July. I'm pretty strict about my delivery dates, and I usually, the longest I've been over is like 3 weeks from my estimates so far, because I take it pretty seriously. So it should be in July. I want to have games to sell at Gen Con. So I'm pushing for that as well, to have deliveries before Gen Con even starts for Kickstarter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is fascinating. You've already funded, so that goal has been hit. But yeah, I hope you get some more on this, and I wish you a lot of luck on this. This looks great. And you said you've got 12 games planned total for this series.
Yeah, 12 games in total, and the new titles will continue to mix with the past titles. So every time new games come out, there will be new rules for mixing the games together as well, which is pretty fun, and something that I like spend time designing and thinking about the theme within how these different subculture games can mix together in a real way that would make sense.
I've heard people say that every gamer wants to be a game designer, and I always counter that and say, no, they don't. because I don't like doing puzzles, and game design seems very puzzly to me. Now, getting all of these games to intermix with one another, that seems like a mega puzzle.
Yeah, it can be. It seems a bit overwhelming sometimes when you look at it as a whole, but when I sit down and see some of the pieces and think about the themes coming together, then it can start to make a lot more sense. Like the Chutaku game, there's a game called Izakaya that mixes all three of the titles together, and basically you're building izakayas, or drink places on the corner lots between these cards, which make up the city, and then you're building buildings around them and changing the value based on how many shops there are and things like that. So I think the theme plays well into mixing the games together for me, but I have a really creative way to think about how to put these together, and I do a lot of creative exercises in my free time. So for me, it's like a natural exploration into the mixing of the games. But
nice. And when you do your play testing, do you have your play test groups mix and match the games as well?
Yeah. So all the games are standalone by themselves, and I'll definitely play test those first to make sure that they're polished and finished before moving on to the mixed games, because they're kind of like not a secondary thing, but I want to make sure that the main game is a main game and good to go. And then I'll send out blind play testing. Usually I have a beta testing mailing list through Darkflight that I use. And then I also have quite a few local friends from different publishing companies that help me develop and play test the games as well.
Nice. Well, like I said, this is very impressive. So we will have links to your Kickstarter in our show notes. And how can people connect with you online if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go to the website is darkflightgames.com to check out the games, and then you can send me an email. I'm Jordan, Jordan at darkflightgames.com. We also have a Twitter and an Instagram, which is just at darkflightgames. And then if you're at any conventions, we'll be at the Tokyo Game Market this year in the spring. Also be at PAX Unplugged, I believe. We should be at Gen Con. We should be at UK Games Expo as well, I believe.
Nice. Well, this is wonderful. Best of luck on the Kickstarter, which you don't need wishes of luck from me on that, but you're doing great. And I hope when you're ready to do your next set of games, you'll come back and tell us about them maybe a little earlier before your Kickstarter goes, so that we can help you get the word out a little earlier. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Roger.
Hello, I'm Lizzie.
And we're recording for our Turn podcast. And first of all, after last time, I have to blame you for the fact that now I want a copy of Sagrada.
It's so pretty.
I went out and played it at a local board game cafe, and nobody's selling it for less than about 50 quid at the moment. Nobody else has got it in stock.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But,
it is really good.
It is a lovely game, and I don't just say that because I won the first game. Let's see, I've been playing Burgle Brothers recently.
Oh, yeah. What kind of?
It's a cooperative game where basically you're all cool criminals robbing a building. So one of you is the mechanic who can fiddle with alarms, and one of you has the special bird that can be sent off to go and distract the guards and things like that. Basically, you can always see where the guard's going, but when he gets there, he'll go to a random new place.
Okay.
And your essential objective is not to be seen by him. So Tim Fowler's design has had fairly bad distribution. I believe he's just got a deal, so it should be more available now. It's not as flashy as some, your big, impressive game with lots of minis and stuff, but it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't take long to play either.
That's good. It sounds like the movement of the guards has enough predictability that you can plan a bit and then...
A bit, but never as much as you'd like to, which I think is probably the point.
I would imagine so. Excellent. I spent the weekend at my friend's house. We were playing through some of her games under consideration. So I've read a lot of bad rule books, and a lot of games are now on a pile for the charity shop. But
yeah, I keep telling people the person you need to write the rule book is A, not the designer of the game. In other words, somebody who only understands it a bit rather than who understands it perfectly. And B, a technical writer. And I don't say that only because I sometimes work as a technical writer. But,
it's true.
It's very easy to go from here is the thing in my head to here are some things on paper. It's much harder to go the other way. And if you already know the rules, you can't really work out whether they're any good.
No, and you often miss points where people are like, but what happens if you don't have the cubes here?
A couple of times I've been involved in a blind playtest group, and this is clearly very nerve-wracking for the designer, because basically what they have to do is just hand you the game and sit back and say nothing while you and your mates go through the rules and what does this mean? What does that mean? Hang on, are you doing this right? And so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you met Magic Maze?
No.
It's a real-time co-op where you can't talk to each other. You're trying to move 4 pawns through a maze in different directions, and one player can move north, one player can move east, and so on. I think there are about 7 different things you can do, and so you have to try to do all this with a sound timer.
Without talking.
The only interaction you're allowed to have is the red do something pawn, which you're allowed to slam on the table in front of somebody. I was talking to some of the demo guys at Essen last October, and they said they'd lost 2 tables the first day from just enthusiastic pawn slamming.
Yep. My husband got Tichu over Christmas, which is a card game you play in pairs. So there's always 4 of you. Mm-hmm. And it would be really a lot easier if you were telepathic. Because you have to pass the card to each person. So you pass one to each of your opponents and one to your partner. Mm-hmm. And you receive this card from your partner and you're like, what were they thinking? Did they just run out of cards to give me, or is this a hint?
Is telepathy actually banned in the rules, or...?
It doesn't say explicitly, but the rules are in German.
Oh, well, but every German learns telepathy in school just after they learn English, obviously.
But it's a good game. But sometimes, yes.
I shall have to keep an eye out for that. Flashpoint Tragic Events Kickstarter arrived. It is still arriving in some places. And this is basically a deck of cards that replaces the old hotspot system.
Ah.
For people who haven't played, Flashpoint is a cooperative firefighting game. And basically...
where you rescue cats.
Yep. And maybe some people as well.
We always focused on the cat.
The thing that always threw me was just sometimes you get to turn 2 or turn 3, you have this sudden rash of hotspots going up, and it goes from this is quite bad to we have lost without you being able to do anything about it. And I think the cards replaced that, though it's still pretty nasty. We were playing on the easiest difficulty of the cards, and it was a pretty tough game, though. We did pull off a win. But
that sounds interesting.
Definitely all right, I'm a Flashpoint fan anyway. I have, I think, pretty much all the maps for it and so on. But it's definitely reinvigorated my interest, and I'll be playing it some more, because the hotspots are always a weak point in the system for me.
Yes, I've quite enjoyed the times I've played Flashpoint, although, as you say, it's quite hard.
Yeah, and the later maps get much more difficult.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've sunk on a submarine a lot of times.
Yeah, well, the approved firefighting method on a submarine is if you can't deal with it immediately, run away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I gather you've been finishing off challenges. I didn't do any last year.
Yes, I managed to finish my 10x10 last year, which at the beginning of December I needed to play on average more than 1 game a day, so I wasn't sure it was going to work. But thankfully, we took advantage of the winter solstice and the long hours of darkness, so we did a little tiny cruise and stopped, lit a fire and played games all night. And my friend was very enthusiastic. She's like, right, what else do we need to play? So, we managed to get all of those done, which was good.
Yeah, I've never achieved a 10x10. I've looked both stats on BGG the last couple of years, and I get up to about a sort of 6x6 or a 7x7.
Yes, some bits are challenging. This year, we've gone for a few lighter games, but we've also decided to play 2 games, try and play them 5 times each, because they're much heavier, so we're very sure we couldn't possibly play them 10 times each, but we wanted to try and play them a bit more. So that's Sulkin and Terra Mystica, which are...
Right, yeah.
Quite...
Yeah, not a casual, what shall we do while we're waiting for something sort of game.
Yes.
Yeah, last couple of years I've been doing a Boxing Day board games, sort of just one day gaming day for a few friends coming over. Basically because I know a few people who don't have family commitments, and just people they usually hang around with are going off and seeing kids or grandparents or whatever, and say, come over. So I think maybe this coming Christmas I will say, okay, anybody got any challenges left they need to play? That's what's on the slate for today.
Everyone was very surprised when I turned up to New Year without any plays that desperately needed doing. It's like, no, there's nothing I need you to play with me until the 1st.
Not that you're going to object, of course. But
well, indeed.
Yeah, I see you contributed to the thematic 52 game challenge list for this year.
Yes. I contributed some positive things as well as going, please don't make it that you need to find a game with all the letters of your first name in, because nothing has 2 Zs in it.
Yeah, I looked at that and thought, I have a copy of Ogre, and that's not that different from Roger, so... Which does mean I actually have to get it out and play it, but this will not be a hardship.
Yeah. Sulkin has L-I and Z in it, and I thought that was pretty good going for most of Lizzie. Yes, I see you're doing that as well this year.
Yeah, I thought I'd give it a try. Some of them are very easy, some I've already knocked off, some I've... Where am I going to find a game published before 1900 that I actually want to play?
Tarot's good.
Oh, is that the trick-taking?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's rules for 3, 4 and 5 players. We quite like the 5-player one because someone says, I think I can make this trick. And then they name a king. And if you have that king, all of a sudden you're their partner, whether you want it to be or not. And trick-taking games are always improved by being dragged into someone else's foolish plan.
Yeah, so presumably what you both get the points for whatever you achieve on that hand and then split up?
The person who was named gets half the points, and the person who actually made the bid gets sort of a full set of points.
Reminds me of the Between Two Cities.
Yes.
The reaction people have when they first realise how the scoring works. So I'm going to have the lower of the 2 things to either side, and so I need to... Okay, so that's how it's going to have to work. Yeah,
yes, and tactically going, well, if I put this red square over here, then the other person will have to put a blue one there, and that will make that city better without me doing anything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a bit worried about trying to find one that rhymes with something else on the challenge.
I've got Among the Stars, so I hope I will find something that rhymes with that. Or
we spent a good hour.
Magic Maze rhyme with days, maybe.
Yeah.
Surely some game title that ends with days.
We spent a good hour on New Year's Day establishing that I'm not very good at rhyming words. They were like, no, those 2 words don't even sound alike, Lizzie. Oh, okay.
Ah, well, you see, if you look at the titles in the original German, they rhyme, and therefore it's valid.
My friend did suggest trying Japanese because it doesn't have very many different vowel sounds, so she's like, surely it'll be easy to find the things that rhyme. Yes.
The other thing I've been up to recently is StabCon, which is a board gaming and a bit of role-playing convention in Stockport. Happens twice a year. It started off as a diplomacy meetup for postal diplomacy players, hence the name.
Yep.
And basically the original version kind of folded and some other people took it over, and they've now been doing it for about 20 years. And it's a lot of fun. It's a very friendly atmosphere. It's very no serious organisation. You got about 200 people in there. If somebody wants to get players together for a big game, they put up a notice on the board. Otherwise,
cool.
Otherwise you just sort of wander around the table and say, hey, does anybody want to play? whatever.
So is it all play-based, or is there a shop there? Or
there is one dealer, Fanboy 3, as a games shop based in Manchester. He usually brings up a fair bit of stock, mostly new stuff. It's in a hotel which is kind of isolated. Well, at least if you don't have a car, it's isolated. But the food's all right. They get in real ale for the board gamers.
Excellent. They know us too well.
Yeah, well, we've had to ask, but we drink enough of it. They actually had Manchester Brown Ale for about 15 minutes.
That's how these things go. Did you play anything very new or very fun?
I got a couple of plays of Eon's End in, which I think I mentioned last time. Just as here, the Sunday afternoon play of that was the really strange one, because I was in with 3 people who play lots of deck builders. They know a lot of the different. They do Magic. They do all the other stuff. Sorry, when I say deck builders, I mean also deck designers and things like that. So the basic concept of here is a card game with a variable pack is something they were absolutely down with. So they were looking at this and saying, okay, so we can't. If you just had the non-shuffling your deck, then it would be an optimization problem and it would be quite boring. But you've got the random player order. So you can't plan out your turn in advance, and I suspect at least one of them's going to buy it, which is good. Not that I'm getting a commission, but it's a game I enjoy. I like to share it.
Indeed. I've not had any games conventions, but our New Year gatherings quite like a convention, except without organisation or fees, and we had sparklers.
Always good.
So we ended up playing a couple of exit games and a couple of unlock games. So they're, as far as I'm aware, the 2 different escape room and a box games.
Yeah.
Which were they were very good. I think it's quite hard to do them because you'll always judge them quite harshly, because every time you get a clever puzzle, you're like, yes, I solved a clever puzzle, but then you forget about it immediately. But the one puzzle where you feel like you didn't get it, or it was a bit unclear, that's the one that you come away from the game going, oh, I didn't like that puzzle, oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, that was unfair. You shouldn't expect people to know things like that.
And there was one with each of them. One of them had something that you were expected to break the rules. And we all were like, maybe it means this. No, that would be breaking the rules. We won't do that. And we looked through the hints and then at the answer, and it said, you have to break the rules and look at this. Oh.
Somebody was writing about them recently and saying this particular thing involved, I can't remember what game it was, so this won't be a spoiler, but it involved looking at part of the box art because it was not actually on any of the components for one of the puzzles.
Yep. I know which one you mean, but...
Okay.
But yeah, they were both really good fun, actually. Quite enjoyed them. Some of them... so, Unlock, you get a lot more cards that you have to look at that might have a hidden letter on them. Mm-hmm. So that, in a way, is better with a sort of larger group. It's less linear, because everyone can have a card and be staring at it going, maybe that's a 5... No. Oh, there's a 41 really clearly there. How did we not see that? Whereas a couple of the exit puzzles end up very linear. You know there's just one thing that you've all got to do, and only one person can really be working on it.
Mm. Yeah, I think if you play a lot of these, you probably want to break them up anyway, just because, as far as I can see, I can't remember which series is which, but one of the series is basically Marcus Adinka Brand designing it. And they may be great, but they are one pair of designers, and I suspect if you played a lot of them in sequence, it would start to get a bit samey.
Possibly. I could see how it could, but we've been into leaving them, so we enjoyed.
Well, if they're managing it, then that's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, one I wanted to mention, Lovecraft Letter.
Ah.
Which, yes, all right, it's love letter. As you could guess, really. But it's gorgeous presentation. It comes in a slightly large box with nice heavy poker chips for your score markers, sleeves for all the cards, because they're going to get shuffled a lot, And it's quite nicely done. It's a bit of a varied in that you've got about three, I think it's three of each card.
Okay.
But one of them is the insane version of the card. So, for example, the equivalent of the guard, where normally you say, name a card that's not the guard, and if the other player has it, they're out of the round. The insane version of that is, if they have a guard, they're out of the round, and if not, then you do it normally and try to guess what they have. But
that's quite interesting.
But once you start playing insane cards, you have to make a sanity check every turn, and you might just go mad and be out of the round anyway.
It wouldn't be a Cthulhu-esque game without the possibility of just going mad and leaving.
Mm-hmm. But you can win with, I think it's 2 victories as sane or 3 victories as mad, something like that. So you just have to decide which strategy you're going to go for. And also it can play up to 6, though it does get kind of random at that point.
Yes, I can imagine.
It's probably better with original love letter. Keep it to 4. So what's coming up?
I don't think I've got very much coming up. A couple of my friends are going to HandyCon, which is near High Wycombe.
Yep, in fact, just the opposite side of High Wycombe from me. I will be there.
Excellent. I will be on guide camp in a muddy field in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be great.
But you love it.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Harry Potter themed and I get to be Hagrid, so I'm trying to find a 3-headed puppy cuddly toy.
Shouldn't be too hard, I would have thought.
And then I think we're mostly just working on the challenges. I persuaded one of my friends to do the 52 game challenge with me as well, so she's also on the lookout for green boxes and things set in peace. And
I've got that one. Among the Stars. Which is basically that there's been a big galactic war and now you're building your Babylon 5 type space stations.
Excellent. I might have to try and play that.
It's good fun. The week after that is the One Player Guild meetup, which is an experimental thing. Basically, people who play solo board games and talk about them on Board Game Geek. There are quite a lot of us in the UK. So one of them decided, here's a reasonably central location. Let's try to get a few people together. It's probably only going to be about 20 people for a day of gaming, but 20 people who play lots of solo games, all in one room together. What could go wrong?
That sounds really interesting.
Looking forward to that. I do like these small, sort of village hall, couple of dozen people sort of conventions rather than the huge, it's got to be big, so it's got to be expensive and you can't find anybody.
Yeah. All you really want is a few more people than your normal gaming group to play those games that are hard to get played, and someone with games you don't own to find more games you want to buy.
Yeah, it's not that I dislike Expo or Essen, I love them, but I don't do a lot of actual game playing there.
No.
Okay, where can people find us online?
I'm on Board Game Geek as Huggable Hamster.
I'm there as Firedrake, and pretty much everything else is probably linked from there. So, and on. See you next time.
Bye.
So now we're getting to the end of the episode and it's time to look forward for what we've got on our plates coming up. So Sarah, what have you got coming up?
Well, I am very excited. It's been a really long time since we placed a Cool Stuff Inc. order. As some people may know, they have this wonderful deal. If you spend $100, you get free shipping, which is really hard not to say no to. Because the whole thing was we were going to plan early February to get together with some friends and play Charterstone. And yes, of course, they agreed. And then Will's like, well, we need to get the Charterstone Recharge Pack. Okay, where's the best price? Because on Amazon, it's like, I don't know, $30-$40, which is kind of pricey, but then the game is expensive. So Cool Stuff Inc. does have one of the cheapest prices, but didn't want to pay the full shipping costs on just that. So we were like, what else could we buy? So I've been really wanting the new expansion. I know Really wanted the new expansion to Dominion, so it's called Nocturne. I have a couple friends who've played it and say it's awesome, but we'd buy it anyways because we love Dominion. And thanks to you, Cathy, and Mark, we really like Istanbul, so we're going to get the expansion Mocha and Bakshish. Also, Fabled Fruit, we really enjoying that, so we're adding the Lime expansion. And then we're getting some GMT trays for the colonists because that, having just baggies for resources and stuff is way too long to set up. And so I talked to some people on Twitter. It said, just get some GMT trays and everything fits in just fine. So very excited on that. So the other thing I'm looking forward to is playing Food Chain Magnet. This coming Saturday is one of our days to ourselves. So we're going to plan to play that on Saturday. And otherwise, I think in the next week we're having some coworkers over to play games. So lots of fun.
Nice. Yeah. One of the things I'm going to try and do is get Happy Salmon and Mombasa to the table. Unfortunately, Saturday I have a funeral to go to. Oh. So that's very sad.
Sorry.
But within the next week or two, I have another weekend with my niece Walker Lynn, who's 3 years old and getting into games. I'm so excited.
That's so cool.
Last time I took care of her, she said, Aunt Cathy, let's play a game. And I was like, yes. And we ended up playing Connect 4.
Yes, I remember that.
And Hannah Honeybee. So one of the things, I have a book for her that I backed on Kickstarter called Steam Team 5.
Oh, yeah.
I did an interview on here with them. So that finally came in. So I'm going to give that to her. And I'm considering ordering Animal Upon Animal, which I've heard is a really good game for young kids. And it's got nice chunky wooden animals. And that's another Haba game. So I think I'm going to do that. And get that in here before I have my next Walker Lynn weekend. I always have so much fun with this. And the older she gets, the more interesting she gets, the more personality she gets. Yep. This past weekend, my brother and sister-in-law were out at the International Sportsman's Exposition. They have a booth out there because they have a hunting club. And my sister-in-law was posting that, Walker Lynn was there with them at this big trade show. And it was her third one. She's 3 years old. Oh, and boy. My sister-in-law was saying that she's a lot more mobile now. And heaven help us, hopefully some stands will still be, some booths will still be standing at the end of the show. But when she posted pictures, Walker was sitting there playing with her dolls and, or playing on her mom's phone. There was one picture of her leaning back against her dog, using her dog as a pillow. Aww. And playing a game on her mom's phone. So she's a good kid, and I just always have so much fun going out there with her. So
nice.
Hopefully that will allow me to also explore some kids' games, which I think is kind of a fun thing to do.
Agreed.
So how can people get a hold of you online, Sarah?
I am on Twitter the most, so you can find me at EurogamerGirl. Sometimes I'm still around on Board Game Geek. You can find me as Silva Shadow. And I'm on Facebook quite a lot, responding to the Our Turn Facebook page when I can. That's about it.
Nice. Yeah, and I am behind the Our Turn podcast Twitter handle. And then I have also been managing the Board Game Geek Guild, which is guild number 2600. I apologize that I haven't been posting as assiduously as I have in the past. I am learning a new job, and it is just taking a lot of time to figure out. But I am trying to get back into that and to try and automate some things. Unfortunately, Board Game Geek doesn't allow you to automate things very much, but Twitter and Facebook are good for it. So I'm working on that. So that's how you can get a hold of us. And then, of course, if you want to check out our show notes, that's ourturnpodcast.com/episode 65. All right. Until next time, on behalf of the entire Our Turn podcast crew, that was our turn.
Now it's yours.
Thank you for listening. This episode was recorded on January 22nd, 2018, and is written and produced by Cathy Ford and Sarah Reed with assistance from Roger Bell West, Lizzie Bell, Jordan Draper, and Mark Ford. Next time, we will discuss games designed by people of color. We want and encourage your questions, comments, and feedback. Please call 916-426-2873 and leave us a short voicemail, or send an email to feedback@ourturnpodcast.com. Our theme music was composed by Adriana Crickle. Incidental music was provided by Ben Sound. Please check out our show notes to learn more about these talented artists. The material in this episode is copyrighted under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. If you want to learn more about the games discussed in this episode, please visit our website at ourturnpodcast.com/episode 65. You can find a list of the games along with links to their listing on BoardGameGeek.com. We are proud members of the Dice Tower Network. You can find out about other shows in the network like Dukes of Dice, Board Game Point of View, or Board Games Insider by going to DicetowerNetwork.com. Thank you for your support. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us.